What's going on? Welcome back to the Look Mum, I'm Hustling podcast. You're saying I never want to bring up your articles, so I think we should just start off this episode going straight into one of your articles.
Ever since the art fiasco one, I'm just like, you tend to have better ones anyway, or you tend to like find just better, more interesting ones.
Maybe that's just me being egotistical and thinking the ones that I'm finding are better. So I'm gonna.
And that's maybe me being insecure and thinking like mine aren't good enough.
It's a horrible combination. So maybe we can just roll with some of your interesting articles this week. Your art ones that you find are interesting. The Jeff Koon.
That was a bad one. That just came out of nowhere. It was just it was a bad one to end off with.
You just
yeah.
You just gotta time them.
I do.
Like, there's no point putting like something horrible at the end, or maybe it is the best place to put something at the end when the retention of the episode sort of dies off. But to start with, you need something interesting, right?
Yeah, something hook them, get them in, get them engaged.
You had something this week to hook them?
I don't know. There was just a couple of like interesting things. What was like the? Do you want to bring? I can't even remember now. Like I added them in this morning.
We'll just weave them in naturally.
Yeah.
Just let it flow naturally.
Have the natural segue.
What else has been going on? You got a juice, and I've got your coffee. You went and bought 2 coffees, and you've had
3 sips.
10% out of this one, so I'm getting an extra one.
You are, and which I'm assuming you're not. I should have put ice in it, made a nice coffee for you, but it's a bit too late now. But yeah, like I started writing and then I kind of forgot that I had a coffee. And as soon as my hot coffee gets cold, it's about a 50-50 chance that I'm going to drink it.
You don't want to microwave it?
No. It makes a coffee change.
Just pour the entire coffee in the milk frother and just heat it up.
Oh, actually, that's an idea. I could try that next time. But yeah, I'm not a fan of cold coffee. So I've got your freshly squeezed orange juice, which is actually pretty nice.
They're half fresh oranges, half rotten. So hopefully it's okay.
Can't tell the difference. Yeah. Very nice.
Maybe your taste buds are off. Maybe you just have COVID. Did you actually see, I read this morning that COVID is officially
gone?
No longer a
like a
crisis.
like something, right? Didn't it like end 2 years ago?
Yeah, you don't really hear about it anymore, but it's
no, people still get it. Like I work in
bring this up.
Yeah, I work
people
in
still
like,
get it, but it's not like a world health thing anymore.
No.
So this is from BBC.com. COVID global health emergency is over. So it's no longer like a state of panic, I guess.
Right. Well, I guess because it's global, right? So then the whole world is kind of like recovered from it, or it's not like making people miss work or affecting the economy as much anymore, right?
Yeah. I wonder when what the last country was that went into lockdown. So it says the World Health Organization has declared that COVID no longer represents a global health emergency. YouTube, please don't take this down. This is not misinformation or fake news. This is
the BBC. Yeah.
This is not propaganda. This is just
official
us
news.
Reading official news.
Yes.
For once.
Commentating.
The statement represents a major step towards ending the pandemic and comes 3 years after it's declared its highest level of alert over the virus. Officials said the virus death rate had dropped from a peak of more than 100,000 per week in January 21 to just over 3,500 24th April this year, 2023. So it dropped from 100,000 a week to 3,500 a week.
Yeah, I guess people can't blame COVID for not coming into work anymore. Be like, sorry guys, have it. Can't come in.
Well, I mean, if you're still sick, you can't come in, but it's not.
Well, they changed the rules. Like if you weren't like showing like hectic symptoms and stuff and you felt fine, you could come in.
Right.
Yeah.
So the virus hasn't really changed the entire time.
No, it's like it's still around, but maybe people's tolerance has has gotten a lot better. And
well, you still see ads on TV. Come and get your. They're literally just running like, come get your 10th booster shot.
20th booster shot, yeah. Just like the get injected some more.
That's
might
crazy.
help ya. I mean, it probably helps some people, but yeah, whatever.
I think we got
2.
We just got the
mandatory 2 for me to be able to go to work.
And that was a pretty interesting time. I can't believe that was 2.5 years ago.
I know.
We always say this to each other all the time. Like time flies. Like the older you get, the time just flies. But it feels like the last 3 years have just been pushed into 1 year.
Oh, like it's insane. Like we're like probably 1 week into May already, and it's just where did the year go? Like it's crazy. Feels like just yesterday was bloody January, to be honest.
Yeah. So March 2020 was when everything wasn't locked down, but that's when NBA stopped and everything started rolling out, and then a year later, around this, I think it was like from like June to like September, is when we were like locked down properly in Sydney here.
Yes, and they had retails closed and all that kind of thing.
Flared up again like at Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2022 was sort of just like a petering off stage.
A wind down,
and now it's officially gone, apparently.
Yeah.
And I literally watched, you haven't seen it, Contagion the other week.
Yeah, what were you talking about that?
I had seen it years ago prior to the pandemic. And watching it again now, what are you staring at?
No, I just think your microphone's upside down. It's fine. I keep staring at it. It's all good.
Is that going to be distracting you for the next hour?
No, it'll be fine. That's why I just keep looking. You like asking what I'm looking at. And it's just upside down.
I've screwed it on incorrectly.
Yeah, the show is just upside down. It's fine. It's all good. It's still microphone's the same.
It's a backwards episode. But everything in Contagion is literally what happened, like to a T, during the actual pandemic.
It's pretty crazy.
In terms of like how the virus like spread, or the propaganda around it in terms of the governments and like
what they would allow,
like the closures and the lockdowns, and then the conspiracy theorists. Like it was literally all in the movie, like to a T. Yeah,
because I remember saying when it sort of happened, people were like, just watch Contagion. It's exactly like what's going to happen.
And we probably should have watched it 2 months in, and then we would have had like a year and a half of being kind of knowing what's coming up. I probably watched it
a little bit too late.
Too late.
Yeah. But I was just saying, there's like probably governments have like a pandemic plan in place, and probably they probably would have had like a government, I don't know, a consultant or whatever, and be like, yeah, if pandemics happen, this is sort of like what the government will try and do.
And then they base the movie on that information?
Yes, I think so.
I think the other way around.
Oh, really? Do you think the government...
They just watched the movie.
Like the worldly government? So, because a lot of countries had lockdowns, right? So, they watch this movie and be like, all right, world, let's follow what this movie in Hollywood made does.
Well, not really, but like if they get caught not knowing what to do next, it's like an easy option. Like, do we sit here and like discuss things at length, or we just like kind of copy what the movie did a bit?
Yeah.
A bit. People aren't as smart as what you think they are.
No, I know, I'm not that smart.
I'm referring to like people that run multinational companies, and
people are like, either it's a government or that kind of thing. Like they're there because they either just want to make more money or want to be in power. It's very rare. It's like a 1% of people that actually want to do good or want to change the world.
Because they're not like narcissistic enough, or have the dog eat dog, kill or be killed mentality.
Yeah.
To like rise to the top anyway.
They don't know which line to walk.
Tightrope?
Yeah, it is a tightrope. So it is a tightrope to be tightrope. We'll say tightrope, like a typewriter. Tightrope. Yeah, but to be able to just walk that line and either know what decisions to be like for the good or for yourself, kind of thing. Like it's
a lot of them. I mean, it's easy to say a lot of them. Like we don't know any of them personally, but you would imagine there's a lot of backhand deals that are going on, self-interest in terms of businesses and people in the community that like run businesses or corporations or whatever, that you sort of have, like we've all seen House of Cards and stuff, right?
Yes.
Like how all the deals go on behind the scenes. And a lot of the time, even at the smallest level, like you look at New South Wales government, like there's so much dodgy shit that goes on behind the scenes anyway, just for like a small, tiny little state.
Yes.
In terms of what deals are made, I think I was reading something when Gladys Berejiklian was in during COVID, all the deals that go on in terms of helping out your regional constituents, just throw millions of dollars at some random regional hospital just because you owe them a favor.
Yeah.
Not that the hospital like needs more funding or anything. Mm-hmm. It's purely just you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Yeah, well, it's like the Bill Gates theory, whereas like how he's like a big philanthropist now. Like there was a thing going around where all the places he's donating to are like places that he wants to build factories and do all that kind of stuff. So like, is there a secret agenda behind it?
So you build up the economy a little bit to support your business that you're gonna like move in a couple of years.
Yeah, so he like makes good deals with the government, all that kind of thing, and then they're like, all right, I want to do this, let me do it. And
then worst case scenario is you're only in for one term, and then you get like a pension fund from like the government pension fund, because like even the prime ministers, ex-prime ministers get like residual income for the rest of their lives after they've left office.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, all right then. I'll be prime minister for a month and then be like, see y'all, pay for my retirement.
Keep talking while I find some info then. I'm typing something, trying to find something.
Should have like, where's the thing to be like, keep talking. But isn't that the same like the States as well? Like the presidents, they have like the retirement fund and stuff as well. But then you imagine people like Trump, like he doesn't need a retirement fund. He's got like enough money as it is.
Yeah.
So he's like still
I
getting.
don't know really how, like, I don't even know how it works, but like I know the Australian one works like this, but
Yeah,
obviously
wouldn't
America would be bigger.
Wouldn't have to be like a minimum term. Like John Howard, I get, because like he was literally prime minister for like years and years and years. Like he did his due diligence, and then okay, that's fine. But someone who's like only been in there like, how long was like Rudd was only in there for a year or something? Or imagine like Tony Abbott just paying his retirement for like forever and ever and ever.
So like they all get money. So
Fair
I'll
enough.
bring up a couple of articles. This could be wrong. I'm just I don't know.
We're just Googling.
This is from Canberra Times. How obviously everyone knows ScoMo. How has Scott Morrison's salary gone from? Okay, that's one article. This is from pedestrian.tv, so obviously not the most reputable source.
Mm-hmm.
This is from a year ago, May 2022. The election's over and Scott Morrison has officially been evicted from Kirribilli House. After conceding on election night, Scott Morrison announced he'll be stepping down as leader of the coalition. As of 2019, the annual base salary of a member of the federal parliament is $211,000. So it's not that much.
That seems like heaps.
Earlier in May, this is 2022, the Australian Associated Press fact-checked reported Morrison's yearly salary was $549,000.
$500,000.
So when Tony Abbott departed in 2019, Sydney Morning Herald reported he would receive 6.5% of the base parliamentary salary, which is now $211,000 for time spent as MP,
Mm-hmm.
and 6.5% of the PM salary, multiplied by the years spent in each job.
Right.
This figure is then multiplied by 75% of that total, giving a slightly smaller number. So they get like a percentage of what they would have made if they were still in office.
Gotcha. And then they would get more depending on how long they stayed in office.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they still get paid.
I know, even if they did a crap job. Yeah, if someone did a crap job, they get fired. They don't continually get paid, you know.
I mean, they're technically in service of the country. And it's probably a very stressful job anyway.
Yeah, like I don't think I'd want to go into parliament, to be honest, into politics. Too much stress.
So yeah, you're still making, I mean, $200K is not that much money.
It's more than what we make.
Yeah, but we're not
I make, yeah.
literally scrutinized by every decision made.
That's true.
So my point is that you make a lot. You still make money after the fact.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. All right, well then.
So if you can get in and change some laws that benefit you and your friends, then who knows how much stuff's coming on the back end.
Oh yeah, because they'll bankroll you into like getting elected, and then you do some stuff for them, and then you're like, all right, see you all, you can.
Oh well, yeah, 5 or 10 years after you've left your job, you're then some ambassador to some other country. Like, I don't know, obviously a lot of this stuff it's just hearsay that we're just making up more or less.
Or you become like a CEO or CFO of a particular company. Like Julia Gillard's like an ambassador for women and works at like a women's company and stuff as well. So, but she's a boss lady, so that's fine.
What?
She has like a famous speech that like made her like win in like an Australian award and stuff, like feminism, like sexism in the parliament.
Okay.
She's a boss lady.
So she's not held to the same flame as the men, is what you're saying.
Well, compared to she's like the only like female prime minister that's been there. So compared to everybody else,
so she
like
gets off the hook.
No, she's just better than most of them.
Okay, fair enough. But I mean, they can get. This is the whole Hillary Clinton thing. They still make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing, not in Australia, but in America, doing speeches and stuff for different universities.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's always extra gigs on the side they can still make money on.
Mm-hmm. Plus,
how did we get onto this?
No idea. Sorry, first one.
Plus the husband's getting what, blowjobs?
Yeah, but he's also getting paid by the government, right? I'm assuming presidents would have like sort of the same system, so he's still getting paid.
Yeah, but at a much higher salary rate, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we started watching, what was that show on Netflix? The Diplomats?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting so far.
Is it?
I think so. I like it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you don't like it, do you?
It's okay.
It's fine.
Well, I might not last long with these script writing strikes.
Right. I have only just saw about that because I read something about how Drew Barrymore was going to host the MTV Awards, but she's not doing it this year in solidarity with the writer's strike.
Or there's no one to write her like monologues.
Well, there's probably that, but like she's also like saying she's not doing it because she's in support of the writers.
Okay.
Yeah. So have you read much into it?
I've got a couple of articles here. I'm not super well versed on it. Basically, like, you can't run a TV show without having a good writer.
Yes.
Or a team of writers.
Yeah. Oh, and that was like another thing I read as well. Like SNL are not doing like a show as well, and they go live every Saturday night. So.
Well, a lot of the late night shows, it's not like Jimmy Fallon is writing any of his jokes.
No, they never do. Like David Letterman doesn't write his monologue, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So this is what happened back in, I think, 2007 and 2008 was when the last one was on.
Yes.
And a lot of these shows, like David Letterman in particular, I think it was him, David Letterman strike. A lot of them had to basically do reruns of their late night shows.
Right,
because there was no writers. There was actually, I don't know if it was David Letterman or one of the other guys.
It would be like like Jay Leno was probably on at the time. Yeah, like I think Jimmy Fallon would have been on during that time and stuff
Conan
as well.
O'Brien. So let me pull this up. This is an article from January 3rd, 2003.
Far out, so old.
Conan O'Brien did less of a monologue and spent more time. This is because they had no writers, because they were all on strike back then, which we'll get into. Mr. O'Brien did less of a monologue and spent more time finding ways to improvise on camera. He had someone clock how long he could spin his wedding ring on a desk and made a running gag of sipping water from a mug. That's good water, he said, told the audience, killing some time. There was literally there was no one to write any of the pieces.
And he couldn't write, like even just bother writing it himself.
So he was just like spinning his wedding ring on the table. So this is how bad it got, right? And that's kind of one of the reasons that reality TV shows popped off back then, because it's all unscripted.
Oh, right. And you didn't need writers to make it work. Interesting. Okay.
So basically, they're asking for a pay rise, because that's the same as any teachers go on strike, whatever. You just want a pay rise. But think about how many shows are on like Netflix now. Like compared now to 2008, there's 20 times more shows, because there's all these different streaming platforms. There's like so many subpar shows that
100%. There's way more accessible points now to have content.
So that means there's way more writers that are needed.
Yes, for sure.
And not necessarily good writers, but because it's like diluted now, there's no like push to increase their salary.
Because there's high demand, but there's multiple people able to do it.
Yeah,
so
but there's not like a high like.
No, there's low demand because there's heaps of people doing it, so that they can just like almost like auction off like the cost to be like, no, this person's cheap, I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, exactly. It's not pushing anyone to like become great at it.
Yes.
So there's like, it's not easy to get a job, but like it's more or less, there's no real push to increase their wages. So, and a lot of them are living on like minimum wage in America.
Far out.
There's a lot to unpack here, and we don't really have necessarily the time or the knowledge to do that. But basically, they're not getting paid what they need.
And this is purely, sorry to interrupt, this is purely just like entertainment writers, right? This is not like journalists or anything like that.
No, is writing for TV, like Screen Actors
Guild.
Whatever, Writers Guild, yeah. WGA, Writers Guild of America. There's a report that was released on March the 14th detailing how compensation for writing has been negatively impacted by the advent of streaming. On TV staffs, more writers are working at minimum regardless of their experience, often for fewer weeks or in mini rooms, while showrunners are left without a writing staff to complete the season. While series budgets have soared over the past decade, median writer-producer pay has fallen. So basically it's just, they're not getting paid anywhere near enough. And then because there's so many gigs going around, but like a lot of these shows never really get to their second or third season. So it's all kind of casual employment. You're not really locked in for something for the long term.
Yeah, it's not like you're writing for Scrubs or Seinfeld or these long-running shows.
They renew them every year. You don't really know if you've got a 10-year. They can't renew a show unless the ratings are there to like
so true.
Prove that it's a good quality show. So you're just banking on the season doing well.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then you're looking for a new job straight away.
Yeah, imagine like that would be so stressful. You're like in a job and you get a contract for 6 months or you get a contract for like 2 years. It's still no like certainty after that time's finished.
In overall terms, the percentage of TV writers working for the minimum basic agreement increased from a third to nearly half of all writers. So basically it's saying the minimum basic agreement, so like the base minimum you can make off writing, it was a third of people or a third of writers were getting that minimum in 2013, 2014. It's now at half. So it's obviously a larger proportion of people are just getting base wage.
Far out.
So there's obviously a big push for them to go on strike so they can actually try and get some sort of changes rolled through. I don't know how they do it, or would it have to be a universal agreement in the studios or by the unions or something?
Yeah,
I'm not sure how it would work.
Be probably enforced because the unions are huge. The unions are not huge here in Australia at all, but like they're huge in America, right? So it'd be like through these unions where they not enforce the rules, but help the rules get or help the rules be followed, or else they can go to their union. The union can like sue and stuff on their behalf. But yeah, how stressful, like not making that minimum wage, like living week to week, and you're like a writer on something like The Last of Us. Like imagine that, like you help write one of the best shows of like 2023 and you can barely afford rent or afford food for the week. That's crazy.
It's interesting because this article is by Vulture and it's called Writers Strike 2023 Explained for Dummies, but it's actually quite a complex article that not even I can't even really comprehend all the moving parts. But contributing to a show like Last of Us, which is arguably the best show of the year, I like Beef. Last of Us is better than Beef.
Yeah, but Beef is a close second. That's a very good show. We did title
Beef the best thing. I wasn't even on Netflix, so
Beef was on Netflix, wasn't it?
No, we did an episode titled "Beef is the best show on Netflix."
And Last of Us is on binge.
Technically, we still stand by that.
Yes.
But the thing is, to be like, I was a writer on Last of Us, I should keep my job. It's not like you're the only writer on Last of Us. It's a collaborative effort of, I don't know, a dozen writers.
Yeah.
So, like your role in like creating a script, it's collaborative. It's not like this one person is responsible for this awesome scene or this awesome dialogue. So you can sort of you'd be able to chop and change people. So there's no real loyalty from a studio or a director or a producer to a particular writer, I don't imagine.
So, like, The Last of Us, I guess, is a bit unique to use an example because it's based on the game, right? So as long as you have, like, the game creators or game developers that can help keep the story on track.
There's an original storyline you can follow.
You just need decent writers to be able to make that dialogue.
But if people want to strike and be like, I want to get paid more for working on Last of Us, couldn't you just find another 10 people? Not saying this is a great thing to do. It's just like go down the list of people that are willing to take the minimum wage and not strike because they need money. But couldn't you just be like, these people that were working on it, like they did a good job, but it's not like they make or break the show in terms of the writing. It's like anyone can basically do this job.
I don't think anyone can basically, because writing's hard,
not
right?
Like anyone, but like any of these next 100 writers are just as good as the ones that we had.
Potentially, but I think the way it sort of goes in like America, because it's like you're part of a union, you don't have like insurance coverage or anything like that if you're not part of a union. So it'd probably be rare to find those people outside of that union kind of thing. And isn't like Hollywood not mob bossy kind of thing, but like if you're not in a union, you get like steamrolled out or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd probably be forced to like
join something.
Yeah.
But like everyone has a right to like ask for more money, to deserve better pay for the job that you do. 100%.
So this is an article from 3 days ago about what happened in 2007. So The union represents more than 11,500 writers across film, television, and other entertainment forms. As a result of the strike, production across the industry is expected to be affected. Multiple US late night shows already going on hiatus. In 2007, the WGA took industrial action with a key issue in the negotiations being royalties from DVD sales.
Right. So 2007 was about DVD sales and not getting enough money from there. And now this year is about streaming and not getting enough money from there as well. So it's just like these big platform changes. So I'm assuming there would have been a strike back when, I don't know, like maybe onto TV or something like that, like reruns or whatever it is. So that's, very interesting. Because imagine if you're writing something, right, and then the studio gets a cut of every DVD gets sold, but you don't see any of that money and you helped create it.
You just made your weekly wage and that's it.
Exactly, yeah. And I guess that's why I think like some actors would have as part of their contract, because you know how actors have like negotiable contracts that, you know, part of my pay would be based on cinema release or part of my pay is based on like DVD or after release and stuff.
Cinema ticket sales, a percentage,
Exactly, and like percentage of DVD sales and stuff as well. So, but I'm assuming writers don't get that type of contract.
Well, it's like what's the hierarchy of a production set?
Exactly.
The people on the cover, the people that
sell the
actors,
movie,
they're the ones that are going to get the largest proportion because you can have a great show, but if they're kind of a list of nobodies, then it might not do so well. I'm saying that things like, obviously, there's new shows all the time that have brand new actors, like at Stranger Things.
Yeah.
One of the biggest shows of the decade, and it's a bunch of kids that no one's heard of or acted before.
But you still have like an OG like Winona Ryder
but
or
she's
someone
not the main
like that.
person.
Yeah.
It's also, I guess, percentage of screen presence, as in terms of the credits. It's like how far down of the credits are you?
Yeah.
So in 2007, 2008, the season strike lasted for 100 days. Nearly 25% of primetime scripted programming over that period was lost completely. There was a heavy pivot towards unscripted reality programming, while some scripted shows did hire non-union writing staff, so people that weren't under
the
union regulations, such as General Hospital or Power Rangers. Others entered a period of a hiatus or cut short existing seasons. Among the series to have seasons cut short were Breaking Bad, 30 Rock, Ugly Betty, Desperate Housewives, Family Guy, Grey's Anatomy, Heroes, Simpsons. So, like, you know, a half dozen of some of the biggest shows of that era. Many TV series were able to air as scheduled if the writing staff had already been completed before the strike began. So it's the ones that are, because a lot of these shows aren't even scripted out. They're kind of not going week to week, but they're not like, they might be working on episode 2 and like the whole season's not necessarily finished or finalized.
That does happen. And sometimes they're doing like they call them like final rights and stuff, even on the day. Depends on the show and it depends on the season, like how much thought out it is. Because then you'd have some shows which are like one writer. Like that controls everything. They might have like a couple of writers underneath them that help them produce the show, or like to say something's based on a book, right? Some people would use that main writer to do the script, and they're like in control of the script.
Yeah.
But yeah, like with one of these things, like especially with a long running show, you'd have like a gang of writers that help produce it because you'd have multiple characters and like multiple focal points that maybe you have a particular writer that can do that particular character's lines and that particular character's lines and things like that.
It depends on the type of show because like something like South Park's written week to week.
Yeah.
And it's a turnaround week. It's not like it's gone into the editing room for 6 months before release.
No, it's very topical.
Or a lot of like sitcoms as well, because they're multi-camera. They can cut them faster as opposed to like a single cam show where it's like set all the frame up, get this one person talking in this direction, and then redo the entire acting scene, but have a camera in a different location. That stuff would, I imagine, take longer as opposed to having multiple cameras shooting at the same time, chop, 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 like a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could, hopefully it doesn't last as long as 100 days. Yeah, obviously they deserve more pay, right? Like that's a given. But the thing is, there's just so many shows, so many streaming platforms.
It's like, will we actually notice a difference now as compared to like 2007? Because all you had was TV back then.
Yeah.
But now, like you're saying, we've got multiple areas to choose from. Like if we have websites upon like just so many movies and TV shows and stuff to choose from. Like, is the normal consumer going to notice the difference?
I think so, because there's going to be less to watch. Also, it's one thing that the writers go on strike. Like, obviously, that's like completely on them. Like, that they need more pay. I was reading an article about a guy that was working on, I can't remember what show, pretty significant show, and just living week to week, can't afford rent, living on noodles, like a uni student, basically. But just because the writers go on strike doesn't mean the show's going to continue. There's still producers, there's editors, there's...
well, there's a chain reaction. You've got like camera people.
So they're all kind of... They can't really do their job if there's nothing to film.
Exactly.
So like in that case, like will we know the difference, or will we be able to see the difference as the consumer? Like I guess some things would go ahead with like not really... the best writers or any writers at all, and then some shows would just stop completely because they can't do anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like should we get like a reduction in the cost of like Netflix because there's going to be less shows compared to what we're like currently getting released now?
Well, it depends, how long the strike is going. If it's like day 90, you'd be like, come on,
Well, this is, I think the start of May 1st, I think was when the initial, I guess, clause or negotiations concluded on May the 1st without an agreement leading to the strike.
Right.
There's no word yet on negotiations on when they'll resume, though members will hear a full report from the negotiating committee on Wednesday 3rd, which is already gone, but don't think anything's been resolved yet. So who knows?
Like all the favorite
It's a different
shows.
world now. Social media. I think there was even an article I was reading about the girl that was Wednesday Addams in the new Addams Family show. And she was saying she was like rewriting a bunch of stuff for that show because the writers weren't really writing the best plot or like what the character would say. So she's like, my character wouldn't say this. I need to like rewrite this scene.
Yeah.
But she's not on the front line fighting for writers' pay. She's like still making the money of an actor, but she's not standing in solidarity
with the writers.
Even though
Very
she technically is calling herself, because rewriting is writing. So it's just like, do you just want the credit of both roles and the pay of the actor, or do you actually care about like not equal pay, but like equal representation for your work?
Yeah, like I could see that. It just depends. Like she's getting like paid like an actor's wage, so it's not something that affects her.
She's the main person of the show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because like again, like if you're in that position, like do you go on strike with everybody else, or do you try to keep the ship running so the dolly people, the catering crew, like everybody else can still earn an income?
Yeah,
because there's a whole gang of people as well that are relying on it.
Yeah, it's hard because if you're that actress and you're doing a good job and you're like rewriting parts to make the show as good as it can be. Like, is it selfish to want your character to be the best version of that character? Like, you know what I mean? Or should she be like, yeah, I'm going to stand with the writers, even though there's like 11,000 writers? Like, it's not like any single one of them.
Yeah, but if she was rewriting it, she probably didn't really like the writers then anyway.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. And then you've got like other people. So this is like out of the TV realm and like into movies and stuff. Like people like Edward Norton is infamous for like rewriting scripts and stuff. And people commend it, being like, you've done such a great job with like what you're doing. So then it just like decounts the original writer.
There's no face of these writers.
No, they're
don't know who they are.
It's just a name. Like when when the end credits roll up, you got writer, co-writer, whatever it is.
I mean, you can go on Twitter and there's probably plenty of people you can follow that are like talking about the flaws in the system, but
and this is coming from two people that aren't in the system. So
yeah, it's like the people that get the biggest voice are the ones with the face on the cover.
Probably, the ones that
that's why they have unions, right?
Yeah, exactly. The unions sort of help them out. But then if you're like a huge writer, and you're like probably on the famous side of things, you're probably not as affected by the wage because like if you're known for being like an amazing writer and making amazing shows, you probably get more of a wage than those TV show writers.
So speaking of having your face on the front page,
yes,
It's a horrible segue. I shouldn't have
I'm
said
waiting
that.
for it. Yep.
Have you heard about the new completely bunked it. The new Google Passkeys update.
I've heard about it and it keeps prompting me on my phone, but I keep doing that not now option.
Oh, I haven't even seen that yet.
Oh.
So basically what I'm alluding to is face of a TV show and then face in terms of your face on your phone to unlock things. That was the segue I was going with. Not the best, but I reached for the sky with that one.
All right, Toy Story.
Is that a quote from
Reach for the sky? Or was it Reach for the stars? Same.
I don't know. We should message the writers and
maybe and find out. But I already use like Face ID for my passwords for iPhone anyway. It's been like a natural thing on iPhones for ages.
So we should probably discuss what it is.
Yeah, okay.
Because the listeners might not know. So basically, I mean, we'll get into you using passwords. Obviously, everyone uses passwords, especially with your face. Google.
Do you want me to read this out?
No, I can't remember if it's a good article or not. I've just got it here. Google have enabled passkeys. So everyone, like you said, everyone uses their face or their facial recognition software on their phone to unlock their phone, right? Rather than using a like a 4-digit PIN.
No, of course. Like sometimes when you go like create an account for a certain website, it gives you the option to be like, hey, would you like to use Face ID to enter your passwords and stuff? You go, yeah, for sure. And it just saves it into your security settings.
But now you can do it with Google. So, but the main thing is like desktops and computers and stuff.
Right.
The big benefit is things that aren't on your phone. So obviously if you have your phone, you can do pretty much anything on your phone, and having your face log into things that unlock things on your phone is super beneficial. But now Google has passkeys just in general on any device, but you still unlock it on your phone, but then it unlocks or enters the password on your computer, if that makes sense.
Yeah. See, this is where it gets tricky because like I've had this stuff before because I work in like a retail space. If people lose their phone, they've lost access to like unlock their desktops and other devices because the passkey's on your phone. Like I've had that issue before because it's like locked to your contact number and stuff. So until you get a new phone, a lot of your stuff is locked unless you have another way to have that passkey access.
Okay. Unless it's like a backup.
Exactly. Like unless you have like an iPad or a tablet.
Okay.
Yeah, you can like physically enter in your own password or go to email or things like that. But it's like once you set it up, then that's like your passkey access always. So just say if you lose your phone, then you're going to have to do like 3 extra steps to log in.
Interesting. Okay, maybe there's a workaround because I feel like they wouldn't have launched this if it was going to be so confusing and painstaking to figure that out if someone lost their phone. So this article by BGR, what does BGR stand for? Big Green Rocket.
Yes. Big Google.
Should we find out? Give them some respect.
What does BGR stand for?
It's a never-ending scroll.
Google. No, Big Google Reels.
Are we gonna?
Is there an about? More? Describe.
What is BGR?
BGR.
Oh my God, it's endless scrolls.
Well, that's like
about us.
There we go. The infinity scroll is what they call it.
BGR started, okay. It doesn't actually
have anything stand for the acronym. Well, there you go. Broadcasting Bloomberg.
I'm really curious.
Well, the dude's name's Geller, so does it stand for like his name?
I want to give him some respect here.
Yeah.
Boy Genius Report? No.
BGR.
Bureau
maybe.
of Government. Okay. Anyway, boring. BGR.com.
Yes.
There's an article here saying I just enabled Gmail passkeys and I'm never going back to passwords. So ahead of World Password Day, Google has announced support for passkeys on Google account. For those unaware, passkeys is a more secure way to log into your accounts as it no longer requires a password, as the new password is your face or finger. Passkeys are a new way to sign into apps and websites. They're both easier to use and more secure than passwords, so users no longer need to rely on the names of pets' birthdays Instead, passkeys let users sign into apps and sites the same way they unlock their devices, with a fingerprint, a face scan, or a screen lock pin. So basically, your phone's going to be the middleman to your desktop or something.
That. But I've not super smart, but I've always let whether it is Google or my phone generate a password for me, and it's always this bloody long multiple combo kind of thing. So if people can't be bothered with that type of thing, then this is a great option.
There's not much more to the article, but yeah, basically if you're logging into a bunch of stuff on your computer regularly, you can obviously save your passwords into your Chrome settings if you're using Chrome. But if it's a password that you don't use regularly, you can just essentially open your phone and look at it. So I'm wondering now, in terms of your point about if you lose your phone, you're kind of screwed.
Yes.
Are they going to start making devices that are purely unlocked devices? So rather than having your phone, kind of like a webcam that, because you don't want to use your phone all the time. What if you just had a webcam on your computer?
You mean the inbuilt camera on the computer?
Well, that might not be so secure. What if there was a more
an encrypted camera or something?
You have crypto, you can have the hard wallets, like a cold wallet, hard wallet type thing. Some sort of secure micro camera that unlocks things that way.
Wouldn't it just be better to have software that encrypts your personal camera rather than having an external one?
I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah, fair enough.
But that could be a workaround rather than pulling your phone out every time, because if you're already on your computer, it's looking at your face the whole time anyway.
Or maybe a fingerprint reader or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, but who's going to want to I don't know.
Or
I'm just trying to think of other things other than your phone.
Sorry to interrupt, there's some laptops, I think there's a HP one that has a fingerprint reader on there. So you unlock it with your fingerprint.
Yeah, but it has to be more universal.
Fingerprints are pretty unique. Oh, unless you don't have hands, then you're pretty screwed.
It's true. Passkeys, Google, lost phone. Let's see if there's any new info about that.
To see how to recover. So if any,
let's go to news and filter by.
Let's have a look. I'm just going to read the general Google result on.
Yeah, but it might not be recent from this week.
Keys.
The authentication requires the buyer move to cover that.
2-step.
How to set up. What happens if you lose your device but need to log into your Google account? If for any reason you lose your device or have it stolen, you can still log into your Google account. Using another device that has access to your Google account, go to this website, passkeys, sign into your account. So you still need a phone, so you need to borrow someone else's phone. You need to go into the back end of Google Passkeys, remove passkey as a way of logging in. Yeah. To then use your password.
Right.
So you basically toggle on and off if you want passkey, password.
So that's what I mean. It's three extra steps to be able to fix it.
But it's worth it if the passkey thing is way more secure overall.
And you're not someone who tends to lose their devices anyway.
All right. I've got an article that's kind of fun, but we're running down on time and I haven't covered any of your ones yet.
See what I mean? Not as a bad thing. It just depends.
You pick one that you want to fit in.
This is actually pretty interesting. So because we've been talking about real estate quite a bit lately, we were watching that dude on Netflix, the How to Get Rich guy. And he has this big thing about rental or well, it wasn't going to be Airbnb, but that's fine. It was going to be the guy bought a dumpster to do it up. Go back. Oh. Go back. 28-year-old, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're just talking about real estate and stuff, and this article popped up. Would you buy a dumpster and live in it for $60
I've seen this a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. This is kind of old news, Sarah.
Oh, is it? Is it old news?
I seen this on TikTok probably a month ago. I mentioned it to my mum actually.
Oh, did you really?
Already, yeah.
See,
I don't know if it was real or not. We can discuss it. I don't know if it's widely known. It's just one of these fun little stories that you see on The Project or some shit.
Yeah, the feel good news.
But I seen it on, there's so many of those channels.
29th of April. It's still pretty recent. Oh, this article anyway.
Yeah, this
dude's probably been it for a while.
CNBC, old news. I seen it on one of those channels that's that just goes around with a microphone. Oh, I love your Lamborghini. How much does a car cost? What do you do for a living? They do that to 100 people. Or
yes.
You live in New York. Show me your apartment, or how do you pay for your apartment? And then they did it to this guy, and he's like, I live in a dumpster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
They're all fully set up. They're not really finding people like on the street or anything.
No, they just bump into be like, hey, just pretend we walk past you.
All right. So if you're just listening, you can obviously watch the video version on YouTube and Spotify as well if you want to see some visuals. While you're on your app, press a like button, a thumbs up, a comment, a little lovey dove.
They'll be lovely. Thank you for the lovely dove.
So the article that Sarah is talking about is titled...
Slow to the game of finding.
Sorry?
Slow to the game of finding.
What do you mean?
Well, like you said, you found this like ages ago. That's fine.
I mean, I didn't... Yeah. That's
right. A lot of people out there might not know.
That's true.
Yeah.
So the article's title is, This 28-year-old pays $62 a month to live in a dumpster. He built it for $5,000. Take a look inside. And this looks like it's UK, so this would be in pounds, I imagine. I'm pretty sure it's from UK anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Last October, I returned to London after working abroad for nearly a year in Central America and Southeast Asia.
So they would have been used to like not spending a lot of money for their accommodation.
Or living in small confines.
Yeah.
Finding an apartment on a budget wasn't easy. The average cost of a one-bedroom in Southwark, so like South Park, Southwark, the UK version of South Park. A borough in South London is around $1,850 a month. That's more than 75% of my income as an architectural designer. At 28, my goal is to save up and buy a house of my own one day. So basically, he turned a waste container, what we would call in Australia a skip bin, into a studio. So
it would be like those shipping containers, like not similar to the shipping containers because I think they're a bit bigger. It's almost like a tiny home, right? What is a tiny home?
They call it skip house there. It's literally skip hire.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a skip bin with like wood paneling on the top to make it a tiny home.
Yes.
And is there inside images?
I think if you scroll up, it might be a little video potentially.
Here's some
inside images.
And it's pretty cute in the inside.
It's very cozy.
It's like a combination of like a skip bin and a van build.
Yes, I'd say so. But for someone who's an architectural designer, I thought there will be a little bit more finesse maybe on the inside.
So you want to bring this up because this is probably all we can afford. Is that what you're going to say?
A little bit. No, it'd just be one of those things. If you're trying to save money for a house, would it be better just to buy some land, get like a tiny home and save a bit more that way?
You can do that. I wonder how this guy's paying for the land though, because that's probably the more important part, right?
Oh, Portaloo. I probably wouldn't want that. Imagine cold on winter, especially in London, needed to go to the bathroom at like 2 a.m. and you have to go outside in a Portaloo.
Well, you think it's a skip bin, like it's hard metal, like there'd be so much, there wouldn't be much like heat induction or anything.
No. But like in a tent, like it gets warm, right? Like if you have like your body heat and stuff heats it up, like a small confined space. So it could, remember we were in that van, it was cold, but it got so hot inside with like our two body heats.
Do you reckon he gets laid?
Do you want to come back to my skip house and have a good time? Want to come back for a cup of tea?
You can put this thing on wheels and just roll it around. I mean, you could turn it into look at the top, it's round. You could just like roll it down the hill.
You could. Well, you had like the truck
the
skip truck brought it in, right? So you buy a skip truck and then you can have like a portable house and it'll be like rocking. So you have yourself like a rocking house.
It doesn't really mention the block of land though. I feel like there's more to this story that's not letting on.
Is it like probably on like his parents' land?
I'd say so. His parents probably got a bit of land at the back of their house. So,
or a friend's backyard. That's how a lot of the tiny homes do it. They have like their parents' property, a friend's property, or things like that, and they just have their home on that property.
So it cost him $5,000 to build. The building supplies were $4,600, and interior furnishings were $380. I used my savings to fund the expenses and paid movers $635 to transport the dumpster to the construction site, then to the lot where it stands today. Doesn't really say much about
the land. Interesting.
He rents the dumpster base, so he doesn't even know. He's just renting the base.
And he just built the thing on top of it. Right, that's a bit bizarre.
Yeah, there's more to this story that the guy's not saying, because there's like where's his land? It's on a corner block. Anyway, it's interesting nonetheless.
Mhm.
My biggest question is this like just an ad for Skip?
Could you imagine this is like a paid promotion? All
And
right,
does it get laid? That's what I want to know.
maybe. Who knows? There could be some dumpster girls out there that, that's their...
Dumpster girls are like probably the best girls.
Oh, really? The dumpster diving girls? Yeah. Instead of like dumpster diving in rubbish, you're dumpster diving in a bed. Yeah. I thought that's pretty good.
Had more dirty things to say, but yeah.
Fair enough. Like I can see the concept and I can see it would save money in the long run, especially if you're trying to like be an up and comer architect or whatever it is. But it's one of these things, would you sacrifice space for income? Like to have like more savings and stuff like that, or would you?
It depends what your goals are. I don't imagine it's a very long-term solution. It could potentially, if you had a huge block of land, you know how there's some people that have like a huge plot of land, they just have a bunch of like cabins that you can rent, like near a lake or something. You could just have 50 of these.
That's true.
And just rent them out.
Yeah. Well,
just like one night, little stays.
Well, that ties into the Airbnb one. Yeah. So we can go back to that article. Look, 2 for 2.
Nice tie-in.
Yeah. But this one here, so the Airbnb CEO, if you can turn off the ad blocker once. I mean, it does seem like a pain sometimes, but it's definitely a lot better than having them pop up all the time. It says he changed how he ran businesses during the pandemic, and now it follows a simple rule Steve Jobs used.
So Airbnb CEO says he changed how they ran the business. Yep. So he said that the loss of about 80% of Airbnb businesses when the pandemic halted travel forced major changes because a lot of people were staying indoors. They weren't traveling and stuff at all. And then what happened was in order to be able to like find like a new way to operate, he found guidance adopting a Jobsian rule. Jobsian, I haven't heard that term before. Steve Jobsian rule. That companies should never work for more than the CEO can focus on. I guess Elon Musk should take a page out of that book. Yeah. Trying to run a lot at once.
So we were like staring into the abyss. Chesky told Jason, who was the host of the podcast. You might remember where people were making predictions like, is this the end of Airbnb? Will Airbnb even exist? And they're saying that a lot about travel companies as well during that time.
A lot of them got bailed out.
Yes. A lot of the plane companies and stuff. Plane companies, is that what they're called?
Or even just like travel agencies and stuff.
So it gave him perspective on how Jobs used to run Apple, especially how he led the company and returned and brought it back from near bankruptcy in 1997. So he used to tell Jobs it was important for Jobs himself to be personally involved with product development. And he said that advice paired with hiring ASI led him to adopt the one Jobs policy of never working on more efforts than the CEO can be involved in, which he saw... You're going too fast.
Sorry, I don't... Yep.
Regarding reframing the business on one roadmap. So essentially, like what he's saying is like he only focused on Airbnb. He didn't have like any other projects going on.
And Airbnb's back now?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all back up to where it was. Because a lot of these CEOs will have like multiple companies, especially big ones like this. Because he had Airbnb, there was Airtasker and stuff, which I think is under the same umbrella.
Yeah. So just laser focus and not getting diluting your efforts and time and resources.
Yeah. So it's definitely not where it used to be, but like what's year to date?
Well, year to date has been climbing, but I mean, you want to compare it to like when COVID was around.
The max.
Well, the 5 year. I mean, it's still down compared to where it was.
But it's climbing back up again, if you can see. So 2023.
Yeah.
Climbing back up again. Yeah.
I hear a lot of mixed reviews and feedback from people that run Airbnbs, and a lot of it's from the US, obviously. We've used it a handful of times, and it's been a pretty seamless experience.
It has, yeah.
I mean, we've done it a half dozen times. We don't have a ton of experience, but I mean, we rent our car out, and even that feels like kind of nerve-wracking at times.
It can,
So to have a property
yes,
and potential damage to something like that, I mean, it's pretty daunting.
Yeah, no, 100%. Especially if maybe it's a place that you've done up, or it's like a holiday home that you've invested like $1 million or $2 million in, knowing that you're just going to be renting it out all the time. But it's one of those things of having that little bit more consistency, because like places like Airbnb have like that foot traffic and have the eyeballs, rather than just like renting it through like a holiday home like company or whatever it is. Because like the way that they used to do it was you would have it with a real estate company and they would advertise it for you and be like, hey, this is like a holiday rental home, but now you have like one that's literally at the touch of your fingertips for an app.
They're bringing the traffic in for you. It's
exactly.
like eBay. They have to filter in people at both ends of the spectrum. They have to filter in the buyers and the sellers and create a platform for both ends of the user, or both types of users. Same as Airbnb. Like, it's not just a one side of the equation. They have to cater to both ends of the spectrum. Same as like Uber and stuff. It's like a two-sided like business, if that makes sense. The real estate thing, you don't have to like, it's just like run an ad. But with Airbnb, it's like more of a level playing field, because everyone has the same opportunity to like set their own pricing, put their own images up. But yeah, I mean, during COVID, everyone thought travel was going to be doomed. The tourism industry was like kind of going, not haywire, but going belly up. No one really knew when planes were going to take off again or enter different countries.
Or like what the pricing was going to be when it did. Like everyone thought it was going to be, and it had been, but like super expensive and stuff. But another thing to like remind like websites and things like Airbnb, it really depends, or it's really focused on, or needing, the users as well, like people that are renting and leaving those reviews. Like that's a huge thing as well. Like if someone leaves a bad review or a good review, like that's always determined on someone like renting that property out as well and selecting is that their next place to stay.
Speaking of good reviews, we'll touch on this before we get out of here. Can you bring this up? Getting mixed reviews. Have you seen the new Dyson thing? The new Dyson headset?
No, I've seen. Oh my gosh, no. What's this like bloody Iron Man looking device?
So Dyson Zone is not the most practical device, but then again, did you really expect that from an air purifying noise cancelling headphones?
What?
So it's a combination of an air purifier and noise cancelling headphones made by Dyson.
Okay.
It's a real thing.
Because I know they make really good vacuums and they make really good like hair dryers and straighteners and stuff.
Yep. So this is $949 USD. And it's essentially a pair of noise cancelling headphones with the ability to attach on this air purifying thing. You don't really put your mouth in it. It just filters fresh air into your mouth. It doesn't like filter out like COVID. Right. It's not like designed as a mask. It's designed to like give you better air quality if you're living in like a super polluted city like Hong Kong or whatever.
Interesting.
But it's more just like the design aspect people are going kind of crazy about.
Looks like very Bane-esque.
Yeah, so this one's saying, this is a guy that's giving his breakdown of his first couple of days of usage. It's pretty like technical looking. There's a lot of little knobs and dials. And yeah, it's kind of futuristic looking. It's very sci-fi-esque.
I was about to say it's very like cyberpunk-esque, like steampunk sort of style.
And then there's an app that measures like different air pollutants and quality and stuff.
Interesting. If you have allergies, this would be like a game changer for you.
Yeah, potentially. But I mean, this guy tried it out in like New York subways and stuff like that.
From the photos, I'm going to say girl.
I think these are just like promo pics of the girl and the guy. I mean, it could be wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, just an interesting new piece of tech. Maybe it was the girl that is now released, and I think it's going to be like a big in like Asia and stuff. I don't know.
Well, because they have like a lot of factories and a lot of like air pollution and stuff. Like we do have a little bit
like big in Japan.
Yeah, like we have a little bit here in Australia, but we've got a lot of space and a lot of like open space and stuff, so it wouldn't be as bad. But in those condensed cities, like Hong Kong and
noise pollution and air pollution.
Oh my gosh, yeah, 2 for 1 because they're noise cancelling headphones, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I could really see that working. Imagine if you work in like a factory or something, this would be like perfect.
Yeah.
But would you spend $1,000?
What would your employer let you?
Unless the employer gave it for free, be like, all right, everybody gets a Dyson Bane set.
$1,000.
Yeah, but that's $1,000 USD.
People that are writing for these TV shows won't be buying one of these. I think we'll leave it there. We'll wrap it up, and we'll see you guys next week on every platform that does
we have
podcasts.
podcasting. Yeah. All right. We'll see you all then. Bye, everyone.